What on earth is Polari? Am I pronouncing it correctly? Whatever happened to the secret language? What does a language from the 1800s have to do with gay culture in the mid-20th century? And most importantly, why did it die out? Join me for our Sunday history lesson, where we will be taking a look at the secret language of Polari, however you want to pronounce it.
Follow the yellow brick road.
Varda, Mistress Boner.
Varda the only pillow.
Oh, a tart, my dears, a tart in gildy clobber.
Bona to Vara, your dolly old eek. That may seem like a string of nonsense words from a Dr. Seuss book, or perhaps a drunken ramblings in a bar, but it actually means good to see your nice face in Polari.
History of Polari.
The gay scene found expression in the unlikely setting of the highly popular BBC series Round the Horn, using the secret language of Polari.
Polari, which was the language that they used, and the ordinary public really didn't know what they meant.
Polari is a mixture of Roman, Italian and even Yiddish, which originated as early as the 16th century and evolved with time. Most linguistic experts agree that Polari originated from sailors who spoke different native languages and started using a common shorthand to avoid having to learn other languages spoken at port. It was mostly used back in the 1800s and 1900s in London fish markets, theatres, fairgrounds and circuses, and even in the British Merchant Navy. Most people who spoke it was homosexual men.
In Britain alone, there are at least 1 million men and 1 million women who are homosexual. Between women, homosexuality is perfectly legal, but between men it's a crime, rendering the offender liable to several years of imprisonment.
Homosexual activity between men had been a criminal offence in England and Wales since the Middle Ages, and made life difficult for gay men who couldn't communicate freely without the fear of being prosecuted and imprisoned.
Pretending the whole time, guarding your language the whole time. I feel that to a certain extent homosexuals can be recognised by what they say.
In a period when homosexuality was illegal and heavily stigmatized, it was useful as a means of conducting conversations in public spaces, which could have alerted others to your sexuality. Many of the words allowed speakers to gossip about mutual friends or critique the appearance of people who were in the immediate vicinity. Homosexuality was only legalized in 1967 in the UK, and trust me when I say, not even the royals were exempted from the anti-gay laws imposed.
The Montague trials were the biggest since the trials of Oscar Wilde.
Homosexuality in Britain in the 1950s was totally illegal.
For a lot of his life, he didn't really care a damn what anybody thought.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Lord Montague, and I welcome you to Bewley's.
In 1954, the English Baron Edward Douglas Scott Montague was convicted along with Peter Wildblood and Michael Pitt Rivers for homosexual activities and sent to prison. So if even the royals weren't safe from the government, gay men needed a secret language they could use to communicate in public, and so they adopted and adapted Polari. But all good things must come to an end. As good as Polari got to being a secret language, usage eventually started declining, especially after the UK Sexual Offences Act of 1967 legalized homosexuality, as there wasn't any need anymore to talk and code. With nobody speaking Polari anymore, does that mean the language is dead?
Polari started to fall out of regular use in the gay community, suffering a significant blow when many of the remaining Polari speakers died in the AIDS crisis of the 1980s. Still, Lavender linguists continue to study and document Polari to preserve this important part of LGBTQ+ history.
In a way, it lives on, as many of the words used in the gay community originated directly from the era in which Polari was spoken.
Some Polari words that we still use are naff, meaning tacky or unfashionable, or zhuzh, the verb for sprucing up your hair or outfit that's fun to say but impossible to spell.
Are you really playing the gay card right now? Yeah, squeaky.
Butch, femme, drag, camp, and juice are now common manners of speaking thanks to Polari, and it's no longer words that only the gay community knows, largely thanks to shows like RuPaul's Drag Race and Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. I'd like to send a huge shout out to viewer James Body by Jake for suggesting this topic for a history video. If you liked it, remember to give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing, as it is one of the best ways to support content creators on YouTube. I also have a Patreon where you can support me and where paid members have free access to my digital music. If there are any topics you think would make for an interesting video, let me know in the comments and I'll look into it. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.